Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of Crowding the Plate, brought to you by Branded Sports, thebrandedsports.com. And Dubs, it is a very, 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 very special day today.
It is Vlad Jr. Day. Finally, for real. We're done being duped. We're done having fake timelines. He is officially here.
In the lineup tonight. I got no words because I'm so excited. I saw that picture of him when he was 3 years old, a little pudgy next to his dad. He had the helmet up, and that just gave me chills.
Yeah, I mean, forget about the picture. The video today that MLB put out with his dad talking to his son, basically. Oh, chills. I mean, it's really, really awesome.
It really is.
And, I mean, it's the only question now is, does he go yard in his first game?
100%.
I like to think so.
I mean to the moon.
I feel like in what world would he not? Like, it's like, this is his day. It's been such a big day. Everyone's talking about it. Everyone's got their eyes on him playing Oakland. Like,
deposit. It's not a world I want to live in if he doesn't hit a home run tonight.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things too where it's almost at the point where it will be an upset if he doesn't.
Yes.
Because it's like everyone's got their eyes on. It's MLB TV's free game of the day.
Absolutely.
Everyone's tweeting about it, talking about it, and it deserves all the attention. But if he doesn't hit one now, I'm disappointed, which is unfair to him. But
it's completely unfair to him. But I think he's one of those dudes that none of that's gonna matter to him. He's just there to mash and play ball. He doesn't care about MLB Network. He doesn't. I think he's just one of those guys that just wants to play ball, and he's been waiting for this, and he knows he's good enough to be there and deserves to be there.
And he loves it. Like, you can tell he loves it. He's one of those guys too where. So I follow him on Instagram. I advise everyone to, just because it's Vlad Jr.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, everything's in Spanish. I can't read a damn thing. I have no idea what's going on.
They got the translate button.
But when he got called up, though, he had the little tiny dots going across the screen the way you usually hate. But I looked at every single one, and all of them were just congratulations on him going. And he just seems as excited as anyone possibly could be for getting called up. And I mean, it's a treat.
Did you see the tweet? The Blue Jays put it out, and it was him sitting there in the locker with a big smile, and it said "First day of school feels." And it was just, I was like, "Yup, he's there. He's fine. It's."
Part of me doesn't even want to laugh at Toronto's post though, just because I'm like, this is your fault that it didn't happen earlier.
Yes, I mean, we were gonna hold them hostage all season long.
Not just them, Canada. Canada was going down.
All of Canada
was going.
But I feel like April 26th. It's a Friday. I mean, I'm good with it. He had the injury, and then he had the setback with the rain delays. So, I mean, he was going to come up a little bit earlier. But April 26th, I'm good with it. Should he have been there day one? Yes, but
I'm not even talking this season. I'm just talking, I don't know how we didn't see him last year, how is this his first time up? What are we doing?
It's
all the other guys his age that are coming up and looking unbelievable are all up already. And he's all the way down to Tatis and all the way up to, Acuna and those guys.
Mm-hmm.
It's like everyone's gotten their shot right away. I don't know why we waited for Vlad Jr., but finally it's happening.
All right. Well, speaking of all those dudes that are already up here, some playing great, where do you think he's going to fit in there? I mean, he's the number 2 prospect in all of baseball being called up today. So with those guys like Tatis and Sano, where is he going to fit in?
Yeah, I mean, I think he fits in, first of all, just being in the AL. I think that's huge for him because he's up here for his bat.
Yes.
I think eventually he works hard enough and he's a smart enough player to where he can be a competent fielder. But that's not why he's here. We all know that's not why he's here. So with the flexibility of the DH position and getting in there and getting as many at-bats as possible, I think he's definitely going to – I think his numbers are going to – catch people not off guard because I think everyone's expecting it now, but I think they're going to be big numbers that he's going to come up with at the plate. I think it's going to be similar to some of the other guys like Devers and really any of those young players struggling in the field. He's going to go through that, and I think his numbers are going to be so big that they ignore it. So I guess I put him pretty much right up with the top tier of those young guys. But I think it really depends on how much you value defense when you look at those guys. Because a lot of them are, I mean, Acuna is a great defensively. Albie's same team. Soto's pretty good in the field. So it really depends on how much you value that. But I think his numbers are going to be up there with the better offensive numbers out of any of the young guys.
And not just his numbers, I think his electricity. He is going to be electric, and it has SportsCenter written all over him. Well, he's just going to hit towering bombs.
And that's a great way to put it too, where he's also just going to he's going to control all of that limelight, and he's going to do it so well that I think everyone will be shocked at the way he handles it.
Exactly. Any chance you think we could see him in the home run derby?
Probably not this year, but we will. I'm sure we will at some point, because that's not something. So. It's not like the NBA dunk contest. Like the big boys that hit like to do the home run derby for the most part.
Harper, Judge, Stanton, they've all done it
at least once. Yeah. And I think it's a myth where people talk about like, oh, it messes up your swing and stuff that. Like maybe for a day, maybe you're tired the next day because it does look exhausting, but.
If that messes up your swing for the rest of the season, you're actually not a Major League Baseball player.
Well, last year Harper had that great home run derby, and then he went on like a 100 batting average for like the next month, and everyone's like, "Oh, the home run derby." It's like, no, Harper's a streaky player. Yeah. He's done it before. He'll do it again. He's happened to be the time of the year that he's doing it. Don't use that as an excuse. That sucks.
No. He's already a streaky player in Philly this year. He started out hot and plateau. That's just who he is.
Well, Philly's been a streaky team as of late. I think we can probably skip ahead a little bit. We were going to talk about them later, but that Phillies Mets series this week was probably the most exciting thing baseball had to offer this week.
I think Hoskins is still rounding the bases, actually. Was that even a trot? I think it was more of like just a strut.
A crawl, basically. But I mean, and he got his in that one too, and the Phillies got that game. But I mean, the Phillies lost 2 out of 3 to the Mets.
Yep.
They've been struggling in the last 2 weeks. Mets now have the lead in the division over them, and I mean, you saw some of the things that I think we're all accustomed to seeing, but are they concerns? So what I'm talking about basically is Harper was ejected in the first game of the series. And exactly the way Harper always gets ejected. He comes running out of the bench, freaking out, and I do love the energy and stuff like that, but it's like, dude, this isn't your at bat. Like I understand if you're mad at the ump, you're mad at the ump, but don't start running out there and getting ejected for no real reason when your manager's already out there getting ejected.
And then your manager has to throw you off.
Your manager is doing that to defend you guys, so you guys don't have to go do that. And then you're still going to do it. And Arrieta kind of, in a fewer words than that, basically said the same thing where he said, I mean, we need Harper in the field, not getting thrown out of games because he's emotional.
How do you feel about Arrieta going to the media about that?
I think just because of the player that he is and the respect that he demands and gets in locker rooms, he's gotten them in any locker room he's gone to, whether he's played well or not.
Yep.
I think he's the type of guy that can say something like that. And I think it's good to have players that keep you guys accountable on your team. So I think it's a good thing for Arrieta. I think anyone that says Arrieta's out of line or something like that, or should have done it behind doors, I mean, it's wrong. Like it
absolutely.
You want guys that hold other players accountable, and that includes in the media too. I think Arrieta doing it in the public sends a bigger message to the team saying, hey, why do that? That's not necessary. Obviously, things aren't going our way. Nobody liked the ump. Everyone's mad. But, like, you push through that opposed to just getting thrown out and not being useful to the team whatsoever.
And it's not like he was talking bad on Harper. He was literally saying, we need you. You are our star. I need you in right field defensively, and I need you at every at-bat that you can get for us to win games. And if it's all about winning, with Harper he says he wants to win, that's all Arrieta was saying is, dude, we brought you to Philly because we need you on the field. We don't need you running out of the dugout, flipping out, trying to defend us that way. The way you can defend us is your next at bat, hit a fucking home run.
And it's that circumstance too, because it's one thing to get players, especially a guy like Harper, is emotional. So if you're not getting the calls and it's your at bat and you have a problem with the ump and you argue with them and you get tossed in that situation, so be it. It
That's
happens.
different.
It happens to every player. It happens
Yep.
over time. He's a little emotional. It probably happens to him more often if you look at the numbers. But in the same respect, it's way more acceptable than when you're not a part of the situation directly. Your manager's already taking care of it and giving you that energy, supporting your guys, and going out there and talking to the ref the ump and getting himself thrown out. So
he's throwing himself on the fire for them.
It's very much like fighting in hockey where you got to pick your spots, and that was not a place to pick your spot. And I think Arrieta doing that in the public eye sends a message to not only Harper but the whole locker room that will probably be well received and help them. But I mean, these Philly struggles recently.
I mean, did you say through 24 games last year, the Phillies were 13-11, exact same record they are this year.
Yeah, and it's not to say the team's not better. Clearly,
no, absolutely.
But
they've had a lot of injuries.
Like the win, and the way they win is way more decisively than the way they were winning last year.
Yes,
because they were a good team for a while and then they lost it in September last year. But for a long time, like they were winning games, but not in the way that they win them now.
No.
Not this season, but it's just way more heightened, but even more so emphasizes that you need Harper out there.
Absolutely, and they need. I think their glaring need of pitching has been just roaring its ugly head. Pitching and injuries. I mean, if it wasn't for the Yankees literally fielding a minor league team right now, which we will get to, I think they would be the most injured team in the bigs right now. I think they have 8 guys on the IL.
They're definitely up there, but I mean it's and you can lean on that for a while, but I mean you still got a lot of really huge names and great players that are playing for you every single night. Because the Yankees are at the point where they don't. So the comparison is, I see it, I understand it, but the Yankees are literally in a position where they're winning games, unfortunately, and they're doing so with literally none of their big names anymore.
None.
So it's a way different situation, and it speaks even more to the fact that the Phillies need to push through that, opposed to lose a big series with the Mets and have the Mets up ahead of you now.
Yep.
But I mean, the Harper getting ejected wasn't the only stuff that came out of that series, though. Game 2, Mets pitcher Jacob Rom throws at Rhys Hopkins' head twice. Keep in mind, this is a 9-0 game that the Mets were winning.
Yep.
Threw at Hoskins' head twice. Rom didn't even get ejected. Kapler had comments after the game. He was pissed off. Everyone was pissed off, obviously, and I think deservingly so, which you talked about before Hoskins' home run in Game 3. That kind of came about from that situation.
He did get suspended, though.
He did, yeah. He did.
But he wasn't ejected.
But I think that's garbage throwing at him twice right there.
Absolutely.
I like the rivalry and I like all that, and I honestly think the Phillies didn't respond outside of Hoskins' home run trot, but
no.
I think they should have, personally. Like, I know that's where it starts getting out of hand, and you don't want people throwing at anyone's head. I think you got to hit someone in the ass there, and you got to say,
we talked about that on
listen,
the last episode.
this is our best, hitter, and we're not going to let you guys come and throw at his head when you guys are up 9-0 at home, and we're just trying to get through the rest of this game.
Yeah,
it's like that's so disrespectful, and just doing it, talking about it in the media isn't enough. You got to go hit one of their guys. I think
it'll happen next time they play.
I just think you got to do it Game 3 right there.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Like, you don't have to do it. You don't have to do it the first inning or whatever, especially if something gets out of place or the score's getting out of hand or something like that. But like at some point, you got to send a message that you won't.
We're not standing for this.
To do that. Yeah,
I agree. Speaking of the Mets, we're jumping around here, but Jacob deGrom is returning tonight, Friday night. Last show, we thought he was getting shut down. He was going for an MRI. Then all of a sudden, he was seen throwing on flat ground. The Mets said, "You know what? You look good. We're not sending you for the MRI." And bang, a couple days later, he is starting. Your thoughts?
Yeah. So here's where this situation gets a little hairy. Is deGrom seems to be heading a lot of these efforts, where he's saying that he feels good. He's telling the team he's ready to go. He's showing the team he thinks he's ready to go. But I mean, this is a situation where you absolutely have to save the player from himself.
You have to take control.
You at the very least needs to know what you're working with. If he had any type of ailments, which he clearly did, because we talked about the back-to-back starts before where he got rolled.
That's not him.
And it never happens like that. It's
Mm-mm.
clearly something wrong. I understand he missed the start and he had a little time to rest it. But I mean, you should at least get that MRI and know exactly what you're working with. And
100%.
you're doing him a disservice. As much as DeGrom wants to keep playing and it speaks to his competitiveness, you're doing him a disservice by not looking into it to the point where you know what you're working with. And if it comes back clean, it comes back clean. It almost sounds like they're not doing the MRI just to not know. It's kind of like I can't see that. That's not my problem. Like I don't have to.
It's like a hypochondriac that doesn't ever want to go to the doctor just because they feel like if they go, something bad's going to happen. You don't know that. I mean, you know what? Maybe it was just 2 bad starts. Maybe he is fine. But
or
why
maybe
not
it is
find
bad.
out?
But that's the exact point, though. You don't know that.
Exactly.
And you don't know that without the MRI.
If it is bad, why wouldn't you rather find out through an MRI and then you can shut him down or rehab him, get him better, than God forbid he throws tonight and just goes down?
Or it's not even tonight. It could happen anytime in the next 2 months.
Yes.
If there's anything lingering, now you're going to find out, instead of with an MRI, you're going to find out by his arm falling off one night.
Yep.
And you got to deal with a long-term injury now instead of what maybe could have just been a little, nothing, kind of like could have done one of those little microscopes and just clean it out or whatever that may be. It could have been nothing.
Yep.
Now, whatever it may be, whatever is lingering there is going to build up and become a bigger issue later on.
I honestly think him starting tonight is a disservice to himself, a disservice to the Mets, a disservice to their fans, and a disservice to baseball in general.
Yeah. I mean, I just think it's wild to not, especially after that contract that he signed. I said it before, but it's just such a disservice to your team and your fans to be treating a star player and not saving him from himself. Like, obviously you want to see him be competitive, but you can't let him dictate whether he's healthy or not if it was clear 2 weeks ago that he was very not healthy, So
saving the player from himself is literally the job of a manager, a front office, and the training staff. Because every single player wants to play every game and they want to get through. I mean, once that competitive nature turns on, and especially after he's made his money, he wants to go.
Yeah. Or he doesn't. I mean, there's definitely guys that don't. Like, you look at Jacoby Ellsbury, I don't think he wants to come back. But
his locker's already gone. They gave it away.
When you're dealing specifically with these type of guys that are real competitive, Max Scherzer's the same way, Chris Sale's the same way. Any of those top tier pitchers, especially, they are dogs, and they will come in and they're gonna try and get their start in however they can.
Yep.
So, and you just have to shut it down or allow it, but you have to get the MRI just so you know what you're working.
Yes, there's no reason not to.
If you look at it and then you say, hey, there may be something here. He says he doesn't want to take care of it, and they think that he can go, and we don't think there can be any more damage done, then that's one thing. But you got to know at least.
Tell me one bad thing that would come to them if they sent him to for the MRI and it came back and he was fine. He would be starting tonight, and everybody would say, you know what? Good thing you checked. It's not like they would get clap back from social media or the media in general for doing something for a player like getting him an MRI. I mean, they should be getting crushed from everybody on this. And I don't think it's a bigger story. I don't think it should be a bigger story than it is, I feel like.
Yeah. I feel like it's kind of just like the Mets being the Mets at this point when a story kind of runs its course a little bit.
But I mean, if I was a Mets fan, I would be losing my fucking mind.
Probably. It's hard to complain as a Mets fan when you're in first, though. Just because, like, you should be losing your mind for sure, but sometimes you got to cherish, like, when you're actually doing well.
Yeah, but wouldn't you think, like, Mets fans would be like, all right, you know what? I've seen this before. Yes, we're in first place. This is phenomenal, but he's going down now. And
yeah, but you got to
spiral.
I think you got to enjoy the 1 week that you're in first while you can. And then next week,
is it even going to last a week?
Next week, when you're not in first, you can accept the fact that the Mets are currently screwing up Jacob deGrom. The more I think about it, pitchers should just have MRIs like once a month. Like so much can go wrong with your elbow, and
Look
Like
at your
that's gotta
guy,
be the easiest
Evaldi.
way. Yeah, like you can pick it out early enough to where you don't even need Tommy John or something.
Mm-hmm.
I think I just reinvented pitching and
Look at
health.
you. They should just be doing MRIs and
Dr. Dubs.
Dr. Dubs. Can you go save the Yanks? Because speaking of injuries, we need a training staff or a doctor or a holistic healer or something in the Bronx because
I can get you some like stones or something, some rocks.
be great. They should go see a
Yeah.
Reiki lady. I don't know anything because
A magic conch.
they just called. They just made a trade for Cameron Maybin. And I was talking to CEO Joe yesterday. He's like, I think I played with him in like the show in 2004. Like,
I don't know if he's that old. I think he's 32.
okay.
So
I'm
maybe
32, and I
as a
can't play.
rookie. But Cameron Maybin is, I mean, talk about he's just a Band-Aid. Not a good one. Store brand Band-Aid.
Which fell off already.
Yeah. It's kind of like a Band-Aid that you put on like right after you get out of the shower. You're still kind of wet. And it kind of is just like sliding off. And then you look down at it later and it's like 3 inches from the cut.
It's just
hanging off your leg. Like that's what Cameron Maybin is to this Yankees team. And that's why they only had to give up cash consideration for him. Because it's like this doesn't help them whatsoever. But they do need to make moves to help.
They need human bodies.
They need, but I don't think Maybin should count as one yet at this point in his career. Like, I guess you can put him in center field, but you could stand anyone out there. It doesn't mean they're going to do anything.
It really is just, I mean, I don't think he's going to help in the short term or the long term. I mean, what is going on? I mean, we'll talk about the Yankees later, but just these injuries, I mean, it seems like they're just, the injury gods are just like, you know what? We're going to fuck you repeatedly this year. And anybody who does anything, we're just sacrifice. Like Frazier now, come on. Clint got called up after he had one of the worst seasons last year that I can't even imagine. I mean, he had the concussion injuries. He woke up every day not knowing if he was even going to physically be able to, get out of bed. That's a scary, scary thing to have to deal with. He worked his way all the way back. Everybody knows he's going to be a good hitter. He came up with Stanton going down, and he has just been mashing. And clutch hits and game-winning hits. And then you blink the eye, and boom, ankle, IL.
Well, I feel like, first of all, if I was a Yankee fan, I would be pissed that the organization hasn't really addressed the injuries at all. Because it's like, so for 2 reasons. One, because there does have to be an answer somewhere in there. There has to be mistakes being made in either, conditioning or the training staff evaluating injuries or timetables for injuries or how they deal with injuries once they've been evaluated. Something's broken in that kind of scheme of the way players are conditioned on the Yankees. And I think that's clear. I mean, this is an astronomical amount of injuries. This is unheard of.
And they had an injury problem last year.
I think, one, it needs to be addressed just because there is an answer for it. And if they're not addressing it, part of me just thinks, like, what are they really doing about it? And then I also, as a Yankee fan, too, I would just want someone to point at and say, that's the guy I hate now because you're doing this to my team.
We need someone's head.
At least the Yankees should put like a scapegoat.
Yes.
And be like, this is the guy. He's fired. This was the bad man. Be mad at him.
Put his head on a stick.
I would at least need something to be angry at. Because right now, what do you get angry at as a Yankee fan? You can't just be like, there's no one to blame or point at. It's just like everyone's hurt and I have no idea why. No one's talking about it and the only thing they mention is just the next guy that got hurt. And that's the only thing they talk about.
And it's become like, if I get an alert about a game and a player didn't get hurt, I'm surprised. Like it's almost to the point where like I'm ready for 1 to 2 guys to go down at night. I mean, and you were talking about the system that's in place or lack of system that is in place for injuries. I mean, it just came out that Betances, they've known he's had bone spur in his shoulder since they signed him. And he's just finding out 2 days ago. So this is actually a breach of the CBA. The whole story hasn't come out yet, but it could be big, it could be lawsuit worthy. But that's just another example of what is going on.
Yeah, I really do genuinely think somewhere in there there's an answer as to why.
There has to be.
Somewhere in the process of getting your guys in the right shape to start the season and being on the right off-season program to be ready to come in and do that without getting hurt. And then once you're in spring training, conditioning to the point where you're not getting hurt when you're playing 3-game series or playing 5 games in a week. And that's exactly what they're supposed to do. And somewhere in that process, either somewhere in that process is broken, which it seems like that's where you would have to isolate it because
Yes.
it's happening so early in the year. But if it's not that, then there's also somewhere in the process where all these guys that have been injured in the last year that have been re-injured, is there a problem with the way they rehab?
Yes.
And does the team have to look at that? But in
Is there
that
a rehab
whole
problem, a strength problem?
yeah, in that whole mess of things that goes into keeping a player healthy, there is some massive problem. And I think not addressing that or not even saying publicly as the Yankees, hey, there is a problem, even if they don't know what it is yet, saying there is a problem and we're looking into it and we're trying to figure out what's going on. Because it's beyond comprehension how bad it's gone.
Like, is the training staff, when they're down in Tampa, like not looking at the schedule and being like, all right, well, the first 2 weeks of the season, we're going to be in the Bronx and it's March, so chances are it's going to be cold. We won't prepare for the guys playing in cold weather. We'll just, they're used to playing in warm weather. We'll just throw them up there in the Bronx. All of a sudden, it'll be 37 degrees and they'll be fine.
It's not even that. It's like you gotta get mentally prepared to go play 162 plus games, and you have to be not only mentally prepared but physically prepared for that. And if 20 games is causing this much issue and this much physical demand on the team, I guess in a way with all these injuries, it's like how do you expect to do anything in October? Like I mean that looks like it's such a distant that looks like such a distant concept right now with them and looking at their lineup. But if you can't handle the first month of baseball physically without getting hurt, I don't know how you handle October.
You don't.
Yeah. So
I mean, you look at a team like the Astros with the injuries last year, and they just weren't themselves in October, and you can't be with that many injuries.
Yeah, I mean, in the span of a month, this has gone from kind of like a joke, like the Yankees, like, oh, it's crazy the way they've had so many injuries in like a week or something like that.
Everybody will be back. Now
it's past that point of like, oh, that's crazy to, oh, that's not right.
Something's wrong.
There can't be this many injuries. It's no longer a coincidence. It's no longer unheard of. It's just like this is seemingly impossible without someone being at fault or some group.
And you're right. There's nobody from the Yankees are saying anything. They just release statements like, prior to tonight's game, Clint Frazier has been placed on the 10-day IL.
Well, it genuinely sounds like woe is me. Like I just can't believe this is happening. Like, what are the chances? Opposed to what's wrong.
Yes.
Like I think they are looking at it still as like, oh, this is just the worst luck ever. It's like this ain't luck, dude. Something's wrong.
Not when you have 13 guys.
I think they've literally never addressed it still to this point where you've lost basically your entire starting lineup and 2 starting pitchers or whatever, if you include CC. Like there is something definitely wrong with their process of training and getting guys healthy. And I think to not address it's really I think it's weird that more Yankee fans aren't talking about that aspect of it.
They're just I think so many Yankee fans are just in lost land. But I mean, like I said, we'll talk a little bit more about them in a bit. But speaking of starting pitchers that were on the Yankees that are no longer on the Yankees, Gio Gonzalez. So we talked about it last time. He signed a minor league deal with the Yankees in the offseason with a clause that if he was not brought up to the major league club by April 20th, he could opt out of his contract. So he was not brought up by that April 20th date. He fired Scott Boras, and he opted out, and the Yankees granted him his release. I don't know, again, why they did not even give him a shot, but their young pitchers have been pitching well. But he was released. The Mets were interested. The Phillies were interested, but where do you go, Dubs?
Back to Milwaukee. Gio Gonzalez, he was 3-0 last year in 7 starts with Milwaukee at a 2.54 ERA. Yankees don't need that, right?
No.
And what good is that? That's gross.
No, why would
Cameron
we need
Maben.
that's what we
a
need.
ball player.
That's what we need right there.
Aaron Hicks, 7 years, sign me up. Gio Gonzalez, 2.54 ERA. Ugh.
For nothing.
Get
they were
that
paying
out
him
of
nothing.
my face.
They were paying him nothing.
Don't you dare say Gio around me.
Ugh. He's a minor league player for us.
Yeah, but he's back with the Brewers. I really don't expect him to have a massive impact with the Brewers, but the Brewers are struggling. One, just with their record. I mean, they've been struggling recently. I forget what their last 10 is, but it's under 500 in their last 10, and a lot of that's due to their pitching because their bats are still kind of hot. So I think getting Gio Gonzalez in there, at the very least, having a veteran who's smart, and Milwaukee seemed to like when he was there last year, I think that's a good move by them. And I think it's really just another swing and the miss when it comes to the pitching market with the Yankees.
And it's got to say a little bit that he was comfortable pitching there because he did have offers other places, and he went back there. So the comfort level of him pitching there is another benefit, I feel like, for Milwaukee, where he'll pitch better there than possibly he would have somewhere else.
And I imagine Milwaukee's an awesome place to play. Like that roster is filled with a bunch of guys that you either respect in the league or are great to watch play, or are unbelievable athletes, or high-paid guys, or home run mashers, whatever it is. That's a fun team to be a part of, and I think
there's a slide in the outfield. The mascot goes down when they hit a home run.
And I think a lot of the teams that were interested in from the NL East too, I think that might have just been one of those things where he wasn't interested in playing in that division. That's a tough division. The Brewers, despite their recent struggles, are pretty much a shoo-in to win their division.
Yep.
So it's like it's just a more favorable position.
Yeah, no, I think it's good for Gio. It's good for the Brewers. It's bad for the Yankees.
Yep.
Pretty much. That's
how the cookie crumbles.
It is. It is. All right, Javi Baez.
Yeah, I mean, there's really not much on Javi Baez. I had to talk about his juke move because it was awesome. I mean, first of all, it's just cool to see baseball players do really athletic things, because there's baseball plays that that players can make, and then there's like incredible diving catches, and it's like those, while amazing, are still fairly like common.
Yes.
But then you have a guy like Javi Baez that does stuff that you're just like, I don't understand how that works.
How does that physically happen?
How within the 4 foot kind of God, I feel stupid right now. Running path. Yep. I don't think that's really what it's called, but when you get called out, if you get out of the running path.
Yes.
How within 4 feet right there are you gonna juke out a first baseman standing and guarding first base from you? And get around the tag and be safe. Like it's if you haven't seen the video, go watch it. Javi Baez just jukes out the first baseman. Just Google that.
We'll retweet it from CTP Pod too.
Yeah, it's kind of broken. I think it's freakish that he's that athletic to work within that small space and do that. And I think it's cool to just see. I think it's cool to remind people that baseball players are athletes too.
Yes. Unlike the old famous saying, "I'm not an athlete, I'm a baseball player."
Yeah, I think to promote the league, I think you got to show off Javi Baez instead of fat people.
Except for Vlad. Vlad's not fat. Vlad is thick.
He ain't fat, bro. Just a little thick.
He's just thick. He's just thick. How about my other guy from the Yanks? Well, a lot of Yanks talk today. CC Sabathia, 3,000 Ks.
Yeah, this one I am okay with giving the due on a little bit because, I mean, 3,000 Ks, no matter the fact that he's been in the league 8,000 years and, he
was fat and then he was skinny and then he was fat again.
Alcoholic the whole time. But I actually do like CC, though. He's been around forever. He's a part of that generation where there are a ton of good pitchers from that generation. He's
hell of a clubhouse guy.
He's outlasted all of them. May have been ugly at times in the last couple of years as he's gotten old, but he's here still, and a lot of those guys aren't, and he's sitting at 3,000 strikeouts. I think he's 3 away now, if I'm not wrong.
Yep. And it hasn't been as ugly as you may have thought in the last couple of years, though, because he has figured out how to pitch now. He used to be a flamethrower. And now he's figured out. I mean, he can't
Well,
go 7.
You're probably right though. Actually, it really the tough years was when he was trying to figure out how to pitch like that.
Yes,
you are correct because he has, and that's why he still stays in the league and is able to. Because a guy like him, a guy like Big Sexy, I can't.
Bartolo Colon.
Thank you, guys. I'm telling you, I'm real tired. I went to the Bruins game last night. OT winner. It was fucking awesome, but I am exhausted.
Dubs is getting too old, guys. He can't drink anymore.
So I'm blanking on easy things here.
I got your back.
But yeah, I mean I think CC just deserves all the burn for this accomplishment. I think it's a cool accomplishment.
It is.
And I mean it's 3,000 hits for a batter. So it's like it's the same type, similar benchmark, very much so, except it's everyone's pretty much a great that's hit these 3,000 Ks.
And for to be the 17th guy ever to do it,
yeah,
pretty damn impressive.
I think it's like 5th or 6th guy since 2000.
Yeah.
So and the names, especially since 2000, are all studs. I mean, it's the Pedros, the Randy Johnsons, Schilling. I'm trying to think of the last two.
Names you want to be associated with as a pitcher.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's all the big guys from his generation of pitching. So good for CZ to get into that, and it's a good way to go out before he starts his broadcasting career in May.
Yeah, I wonder when his first broadcast is going to be. I haven't heard anything.
I don't know. It should be interesting. Chris Berman's doing like 6 games for the Sox on the radio this year.
Oh, that'll be good.
Back.
Talkman, the Sock Man.
No, we don't let people like that do shows.
Dubs will be cutting together John Sterling's best of the best sometime.
I'm gonna
this
try.
Summer.
I don't know how legally how that works to clip his stuff, but I want to try because his calls are wild.
They are just the best.
I guess we'll circle back around to the Yankees and we'll finish off because we've talked about them so much.
Yeah, we have. We
haven't
said anything
off
about
a little bit. We haven't. Well, let's finish off the Yankees quick because there is one positive. I mean, the Yankees are still winning baseball games despite all this.
2 out of on their last 10.
Yeah, I mean, probably even better over the last 15 if you look back. So it's, I mean, what do you think is winning you guys baseball games right now? Because I don't really understand. Obviously, the home run ball, but I mean, I want to know because you're watching the Yankees closer than I am. Obviously, who's coming through for like the pitching staff? Like who's pulling this all together right now? The way you guys are winning.
One, they played the Royals, and then they played the Angels. So they played a couple shitty teams.
Well, that'll do.
You got to win the games. Every game and against the teams that you play.
Yeah, I mean, the Red Sox aren't doing it. So
exactly.
They're fully healthy for the most part.
And the Yankees literally are just about a minor league team right now. So still to compete with and beat those type of teams is impressive. So, I mean, I've mentioned them before, but some of the young guys have been pitching really well. Domingo Germán, he was brought up last year. He's starting. I mean, he had against the O's earlier in the season. He had a perfect game going in the 6th. He pitched the other night. I mean, he's been blanking. He has great stuff, and he's always had good stuff. And he throws a lot of strikes out a lot of guys. But his issue was he always used to have a lot of walks. Like he would have 9 strikeouts, but 6 walks, and he'd be out in the 5th inning. Where he's kind of brought the walks down. He's pitching a lot better.
Very much like a 4-starter kind of.
Exactly. So he's been pitching really well. Paxton's brought it around. I mean, he had 2.
Yeah, he has looked good. That is one thing that I have noticed is he's looked really good.
Big Maple, baby.
Pretty much, especially since that Red Sox start, he's kind of been locked in.
Where he looked terrible, but yeah, I mean, he had back-to-back games where he gave up no runs and had 12 strikeouts. First Yankee in history ever to do that. It was extremely impressive. So the starting staff has been pitching really well. One of the guys that has not and has always been for the last couple of years a go-to guy in their bullpen was Chad Green. I mean, Chad Green has been a door shutter for them for a couple of years, and they just optioned him back down because he has been hot garbage. So that's one of the guys that, with all these injuries, one of your vets that you rely on in this quote-unquote best bullpen ever, not getting the job done. And then some of the young guys like Urshela at third, he's made, I think, 2 or 3 phenomenal SportsCenter plays from third. Glaber's still playing. I mean, Clint Frazier was mashing, like I said, but now he's on the DL. And, Tachman, the sock man, but the real unsung hero of this entire season and their best pickup has been DJ LeMahieu. The dude is just getting on base, scoring runs, and just is so smooth defensively. So he has been the savior offensively and defensively for this team.
So my question to kind of close out the Yankees for the episode is, how long are they going to be? Because the Yankees injuries we don't have to go back and do the whole thing with all their injuries, but a lot of them are long term.
Well,
Stanton, at least another month for some of these guys. So my question basically is just how long can this Yankees roster that you guys are trotting out now keep stringing together wins to stay afloat? Because I think what you guys should be afraid of running into basically and wary of is just this team's talent, like the lineup that you guys are putting out right now with everyone on the IL.
Yep.
If they start to slow down, and then once you get everyone back, I can't imagine they're all just going to be 100% ready to go mash again. So I think there's going to be a period of time that I'd be very wary of as a Yankee fan or in the Yankees organization, where you could have this lineup sucking for a while and then move to your good lineup sucking before it gets all fixed.
Yeah, well, so to circle back to the injury length that you said, like Stanton's bicep is healed 100%, but now it has moved up into his shoulder. He needed a cortisone shot, so who knows how long that's going to be now. And you're right. Sanchez was mashing in the beginning of the season. He got hurt. He flew all the way out to Anaheim, rejoined the team, and boom, first night back, golden sombrero. So just because the horses are coming whenever they come doesn't mean the horses are going to be the horses right away.
Yeah.
These guys, these young gritty guys are winning games because they are playing gritty. They're sacrifice bunts. They're doing little things that the big team doesn't do,
and because
they have to win games like that.
And their future career depends on it too. Like these are tryouts for a lot of these guys.
Exactly. And who knows when they're not used to playing at this level every single night, that they might get tired, or they run into tonight. They're facing Bumgarner tonight. You're not telling me that Bumgarner isn't going to, try and light these young kids up.
Yeah.
And who knows, he may be trying out for the Yanks for later in the season too. We'll see about that. So it also depends on, who they see. And, I am nervous. I need a couple guys back. I really need this Clint Frazier injury to be a short one. Be a 10-day IL. Don't be he's on the 10-day and 3 months later he's back. I need him back. I'm not anticipating Judge being back anytime soon. He's had the oblique before. I'm nervous about that. So, I think we're going to be without Judge until probably July.
Yeah. I think in a couple weeks' time, this lineup is gonna, if you guys don't start getting guys back, you're gonna see how baseball works. If you call up 8 guys to go fill your roster, first of all, not Trenton, who's your AAA affiliate? Scranton must look like a barren wasteland.
Michael Scott's playing for them.
I don't know who's down there.
Dwight Schrute.
Yeah, exactly. Jim Halper's starting, that lanky motherfucker. But he's I think if you have to call up 8 guys like that though, in all of baseball, not all 8 guys are going to be great.
Nope.
So I think eventually even guys that might be playing well now are going to start to show their true colors if you have to keep bringing them out there so often. So I think that's a good place to leave the Yankees stuff. But I do think while they're playing well right now, and they should keep trying to ride that wave, obviously. Yep. I think at some point you're going to have to get some of these guys back sooner than later.
I'm excited by the way they've been playing, these young guys, but at the same time, I'm realistic and nervous for what is to come with them, if that makes sense.
All right, we can move on to my Red Sox stuff. I think we did plenty of Yankees stuff, and I think that was primarily my way of just avoiding talking about the Red Sox. But
I don't blame you.
But it's I don't even know where I stand with them anymore. So here's the realist in me.
Yep.
I think the way they've played over the last 2 weeks, they've started to find ways to win. They've had some better starting outings. They've had the bats come alive at times. I think My problem right now is I feel like they should have this one game where they turn it around and then they look like their old self.
Yep.
And I think they're really taking these few weeks to gradually get back to that point. Which, if I'm right, and that is what they're doing, and that is how they're winning 3 games in a row, and then they drop 2, and then they win 2, and then they lose 3, and then they
There's no
win 3.
consistency.
Yeah, and I'm hoping at some point this turns into, oh, we just saw them won 6 of 7.
Mm-hmm.
We just saw them won 7 of 8. They start stringing together more of these wins, and it becomes gradual, and that's my new spin zone. It's not one game anymore. They're not just going to turn it around. But I do think there's progress being seen in the last 2 weeks, and I think outside of the fact that we're going to start a guy named Josh Smith that I've never heard of, sounds fake. So, I mean, it can't be right. Like that's that's like the auto entry in any like fake like sheet that you got to fill out.
Alexa
Like
starting group.
John Smith. I mean, or Josh Smith. I actually don't really know which one it is.
John Doe.
Yeah. I think the Sox are going to get rained out, but he is supposed to start tonight if they do play. So he just got called up. But outside of that, I mean, our starters are getting better. Eovaldi's health is a concern. Sounds like he had surgery. So he's going to be out. Yeah, so he's going to be out for a little bit. It wasn't Tommy John. He's not gone for the year or anything like that.
I saw 4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah, he's definitely. But originally it was a 10-day DL stint. So it's progressed to, a couple months now, but at least he's going to be here. It's not Tommy John. It's not the worst case. So I think if you get through his injury and you kind of manage that, Sale and Bryce need to step up. Porcello finally had a good start. Erod looked like, Erod is really was the first one to step it up in this rotation, and he's been sticking to it. So, I have high hopes moving forward, but I've come off that cliff where I thought it was just gonna all happen at once. Like, it's clearly not. It's gonna be a process.
It has to be. I mean,
yeah, I just want it so bad. I mean, we're still in 4th. We're still losing more games than we win.
But I mean, if you're gonna do it,
but
if this is gonna happen to you at any season, I mean, what better season with what's happening to the Yankees? The Orioles are just falling apart, and we'll see if the Rays are, you guys did well against them down there. Who knows if they're gonna sustain this all season? Yeah. So,
and we're starting a series with the Rays tonight. We play them if the game doesn't get rained out. Which, quick tangent. I'm real nervous. So I'm going to the Sox game tomorrow. It's supposed to be at 4. If this game gets rained out tonight, and then they move back the game I'm going to 7, with the Bruins starting at 8 o'clock, we're gonna have real issues. I don't know. I really have no idea. I haven't thought it out. I'm really just hoping they play through the rain tonight.
And they might, because
it's supposed to pour all night, but because it's supposed to rain Sunday too, so it's like I don't know how many games we're gonna try and fit in this weekend, but I'd prefer to just keep the game at 4 so I can watch the Bruins later.
Yeah, I mean, why don't they do like an 8 a.m. 4 doubleheader?
Yeah. Well, you knew it was gonna rain tonight all day. I don't understand why you can't just be like, all right, everyone come early, 5 o'clock start time. We'll get it in before the rain.
Right? It doesn't make any sense
if you ask me. But I logistically that probably doesn't work, and that's just me being selfish. And that's my tangent, but I'm worried. I got too many good teams to worry about. Like, I can't be missing shit like that.
It's so tough for you up there.
And the Celtics come back Sunday. It's wild how long the NBA takes. It's miserable.
It really is. I mean, and you see how quickly the turnover series is in the NHL.
Bruins had 2 sleeps between series.
Literally.
2 sleeps. Less than 48 hours between games. Or almost exactly 48 hours.
You got your Bruins rolling. You got your Celtics rolling. You got videos of Brady, just who wants to run it back looking just fresh.
I mean, well, the Boston sweep is still in play for these championships. We had the Sox, then we got the Pats. I mean, it's been almost a complete year since someone outside of Boston has won a championship.
It's like a grand slam in tennis.
I mean, it would be one of the more impressive things I've ever seen. I mean, that's so unheard of. To even be in contention at this point is kind of unheard of. But
Absolutely.
I mean, the Bruins are odds-on favorite for the Cup. If the Warriors get bounced at some point because they don't look human, it's gonna be a free-for-all in the NBA. I'm excited.
I mean,
I love playoffs, and I hope the Red Sox figure it out so they can give me this feeling again this year too.
I don't know if Philly's going to get past Toronto, but you better be rooting for it because you know what happens in playoffs when it's Celtics Sixers.
Milwaukee scares me more than either the Raptors or the Sixers.
Well,
But yeah, the Sixers
that's what I'm
suck.
saying.
I mean,
Yeah,
we're going to work over the Sixers if we get them.
Well, I mean, Brett Brown just can't coach against them.
They might as well just forfeit. I think it would be less embarrassing because what if Simmons gets 0 points again? I know, guys, this is a baseball podcast, but we're doing it, okay?
We're talking playoffs. It's playoffs.
So I think, I think it's less embarrassing to forfeit a series to the Celtics than have Ben Simmons have a game where he doesn't score again against us.
All right. And you get the great receiver from Arizona State last night in the draft too. 32nd pick.
It's huge. Brady's already tweeting at him.
Yeah,
he must be loving life.
It's
being
great.
A Patriot, being a great. It's awesome. It really, you got to try this out sometime. Being a Boston fan's so cool.
Yeah, we're gonna try it out. Yeah, never.
Hey, man, you're always welcome.
Yeah,
you're a good enough guy. You know, we'll accept you.
Welcome. Not welcome.
Well, you can't wear the hat, but I mean, you gotta. You know, if you're willing to make the full switch, like we'll have you. These fans, it's awesome, dude. You're always kind of happy. You always have something to root for.
We'll see. We'll see how long it lasts.
Is 2 decades not long enough?
No. Well,
not a good enough sample size.
All right. Well, everybody, make sure tonight you are enjoying, or if you listen to this, Saturday or Sunday, you enjoyed on Friday Vladdy night, because it's going to be a show. And if you have not seen our new shirt that is up, it is fire. Our first shirt came out thanks to Design Tree, DSGN Tree. Go follow them on Twitter, follow them on Instagram, follow them on Facebook. They are doing all the shirts for Branded Sports. They have a lot of great Sixers ones out there. We got a Crowding the Plate shirt out there that is just fresh to death. And now they're putting out Vladdy shirts, thick with 2 C's, as Dub says. And the logo is just sick. And I can't wait. You all need it.
It's awesome. I mean, the shirts that come out, as much as I don't care for Philly shirts are awesome. Get them in the next week because Phillies will be out of the playoffs soon. So
they do ship fast.
Yeah, you'll have them before the end of this series where they get bounced by the Raptors. So, but make sure you get them soon so you don't miss out. I mean, they're really cool. The Jimmy Butler one's awesome.
Mm-hmm. It's his hair with the skyline.
Get it while he's still here before he takes off for greener pastures. I mean, you got to jump on these opportunities.
But the Vladdy shirt, he's here to stay.
They're fire. All of them. I'm just messing around. All of them are really awesome shirts. You got to go check them out.
These guys do phenomenal work. So we shout out to them. But that's all I got. Enjoy Vladdy. Hopefully your Sox get in so you can watch your Bruins. Enjoy the NFL draft. Cowboys finally get a pick tonight. We got a lot. I mean, this is a great time to be alive when you're a sports fan.
Boston fan in particular, folks.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, hopefully I can make it through the weekend without 2 or 3 Yankees going on the IL, and I can enjoy some baseball.
Yeah. Follow us at CTP Pod on Twitter, at Kmess22 on Twitter, at Brandon Nick Dubs on Twitter, at Brandon_sports on Twitter. Follow us on YouTube, subscribe, iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn.
All the library, wherever.
Yep. All of them. Go find us, go follow us, and we'll be back next episode.
Happy Vlad Day. We will see you all soon.
See ya.